you ready for a Biohazard podcast? Hey, dude, listen, got some work to do. Don't really have the energy to type, so I want to make a cool video for you that could be a behind-the-scenes footage for future release. Was wondering if you were up to doing a podcast later, like a interview thing or whatever, whatever you want to do. I'm off today and tomorrow, so just let me know. Maybe later we can, get a little, slap the devil's lettuce. And this has been Dark Rocker on a behind-the-scenes clip. Stay tuned for July 31st. What does he have in store? We don't know.
All right. Yep. Welcome to System 3D's fucking audio podcast. That's right. It's 30 minutes with System 3D and Dark Rocker. That's right. 30 minutes with Biohazard, bitch. And here today on the show, we have, for the first time in years, with System 3D, in a collaboration, the UW legend, Dark Rocker. Hey, Dark Rocker, what's up, bro?
That was quite an introduction there, my good old friend. I'm doing pretty good lately under some circumstances. But yeah, really appreciate that introduction. Doing pretty good.
Great, man. Well, I really hope that you get medically cleared to perform at some point in the future as we wrap up the ending of Uncensored Wrestling. In fact, I don't even think Uncensored Wrestling should end unless there's a big match with Dark Rocker. And honestly, if you were to come back and have another match, my first question would be, who would be on your list? I'm sure there's more than one.
That's a really good question. It's, for me, it's tapping into each different persona and seeing like who they could all fight. I guess at the top of my list, I would love to do a tragedy match. Definitely do something incorporated with System 3D, of course. There's so many possibilities, but as I've been thinking lately, I think King Tragedy is at the top of the list.
I'm loving that answer, man, because honestly, I was feeling the same way. I'd love to see you face King Tragedy again. He's somebody who you haven't beaten. You've beaten a lot of UW legends, but King Tragedy claims he's the best, and Dark Rocker is somebody who is arguably the best. Him and System 3D, I think, are at that argument with King Tragedy, so that would be amazing to see. And there's no denying that System 3D has to have one last match with Dark Rocker. There's no denying that. So I guess my next question would be, out of all your rivals in UW history, and you might have answered this before in other interviews, but I want to address it here on this podcast. What do you think are, let's say, your top three biggest rivals? Like, we know System 3D is going to be in there, but who would you rank up there with System 3D as your biggest rivals?
If we're taking out System 3D in that question, because he would, for me, be number one on that list, Our Pain comes right after. I like the stuff that we did with Dark Abyss, and it's so hard for me to say. Maybe Chuck D.
Oh, Chuck Diapers, yeah. You know what? That is a big fucking rival. You guys did have a match at Day of Destruction. You had a match again at The Last Stand, which I don't have that footage, but I think it's out there somewhere. I don't know if you have it somewhere. I had it somewhere. I don't know where, but you guys did have a big feud, and of course that Fatal 4-Way that got deleted that I really wish we had that match with me, you, R Pain, Chuck Dread, Chuck Diapers. That would have been great to put up. But as far as that goes, a couple other big rivals of yours that I would say was good was Hellraiser. You had a good thing going with him, and Death Reaper. But even that stuff with Chrome was good as well. But if I was to say who your biggest rival is, it's definitely System 3D and R Pain, so I have to agree with you there. Okay, for my next question is... Wait, hold on, let me alright, sorry about that. I had to look at my fucking notes here, and I didn't have them ready before. My God, this is what the fuck is this? But anyways, Dark Rocker. Okay, so what is your favorite UW match that you've taken place of, or event, or both, that you could remember? Like, what's something that really stands out in your head for an event that you love, or a match?
I might have that Last Stand event somewhere in the vault on my laptop, because I did save a lot of old UW videos, so I'm slowly going through everything. My favorite event, that I don't really have a favorite event, but events I really did like were the Last Stand, United States of Anarchy, December Destruction, Day of Destruction, Apocalypse. Nothing really, to me, really stands out. Maybe Day of Destruction, but everybody loves that event.
Yeah, that goddamn Day of Destruction, dude, right? Right? People who just won't just stop talking about it. But, Flair Files 3 is another one I would say. I think that Flair Files 3 is where we kicked off into, like, the new era of UW, really, because that's when I turned the System 3D after, and really where I feel like we started becoming who we were as wrestlers. What was your favorite season of wrestling that you can remember? I know it's hard to remember the season, but before you answer that, just to refresh your memory, seasons 1 and 2 were like the XCW, IKW stuff, which I wasn't a big fan of either because we were so young there. We didn't really know what we were doing back in high school. And then, the UW stuff, like the stuff with Dark Alliance was season 3 when it first began. Season 4 was like when System 3 started out and we had Reality there and all that. Season 5 is with Dark Abyss and Hell's Army, just to name like the first 5.
I forgot about Fighter Finals 3. That match with Rocker and 360, probably my favorite match we did. Because, to answer your other question, my favorite seasons was Season 3 and Season 4. And I like that because, I picture System 360 representing, the future BIOHAZARD, and Dark Rocker obviously representing Dark Alliance. So that was my two favorite teams and my two favorite seasons, 2011 and 2012. Unfortunately, they're both very depressing times in my life, but it's ironic how, the most depressing time in your life is the most inspirational for creativity.
Right, man, and honestly, back then we were doing more than just the wrestling. We were doing, a bunch of comedy skits and stuff like that. We were doing all sorts of videos back then, and it probably helped, I hope, you get through that kind of stuff, doing that kind of stuff to get your mind off there, and then also, you use the pain as inspiration for your art. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Alright, for my next question, though, you have, I'm sure, a lot of inspirations for Dark Rocker that might not just be, wrestlers, but, famous people, musicians and stuff. So, who are some of your inspirations for your characters for, Dark Rocker, Dark Abyss, Soulless, and so on?
Looking back, make it short and sweet, I'd say that Dark Rocker was influenced by Jeff Hardy. And they all have many influences, but just the main ones. Starbreaker was influenced by David Bowie and Paul Stanley. Dark Abyss was influenced by Kane, and I guess Slipknot. I would put them down in a Leatherface. The artist formerly known as Dark Rocker was influenced by Goldust and Rico, and Soulless was actually inspired by a song I discovered by a YouTube artist named Exile Lord, who made 5 different tracks for all titled Soulless 1 through 5, and the 5th one he uploaded was actually my favorite that inspired the character. And what helped motivate the character was a claymation movie called The Adventures of Mark Twain, where the children of the movie meet Satan, and when I saw that character, the concept, it pushed forward the inspiration for Soulless. If you look it up, I forgot to add, if you look up that movie, The Adventures of Mark Twain, look up the scene where they meet the mysterious stranger, and you can kind of tell that there's some inspiration between that character and the Soulless character. And then there's Chuck D.
Yeah, dude. man. Okay, so that leads me to my next question, I guess. You faced Chuck Dredd at Day of Destruction 2012. I guess my question would be, how bad was his diaper stinking that night? I mean, his diaper stunk a lot at September Slaughter 1 and 2 when I fought him, but I mean, you fought him at 2 a bit too, but how bad, Bella? How bad? Now, how bad did that boy's diaper stank at Day of Destruction when he faced him, Dark Rocker? I guess that's my question. I don't know why, but it is.
It was just unbearable. Sick and disgusting. It doesn't even remotely, I always had Charles in charge. I was flabbergasted, and that smile that he kept on his face, he just stunk up the joint, Well, you gotta be smiling.
Oh, yes, bro, I know. His diaper fucking stinks. It reeks, dude. It's crazy. You know what? One more thing on that real quick, and then we're gonna switch on to, serious questions. Did you see the new video where Smosh, Ian and Anthony Smosh, reacted to Chuck Dredd's diaper talk?
Yeah, I saw it. Glad they can make the time.
Right. I'm surprised that Ian and Anthony actually made the time with all their Smosh shooting to actually take a time to, react to Chuck's diaper, But anyways, off the topic of Chuck's stinky, smelly diaper, let's move on to some serious shit. Anyways, what is going on with you and R-Pain? Are you friends? Are you not? That's what people want to know with the Dark Alliance right now.
R-Pain and I are friends. We just don't communicate often, and it's always been like that. The last time I heard him was probably back in, I want to say probably October, when he was congratulating me on getting into the nursing field. And before that, I was probably, what I remember was even back in June, he congratulated me on getting my license. And I haven't heard from him, but in my mind, we're still friends.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm hoping that somehow we incorporate R-Pain and all this by the time we wrap up Uncensored Wrestling for sure, but it's great to have Dark Rocker back in the fold. In fact, for my next question, when can we expect to see Dark Rocker make some sort of return to the Uncensored Wrestling page? There was a video the other day that was old footage that was uploaded, but when might Dark Rocker actually make a physical return promo to UW, possibly?
I have a schedule to return on July 31st, 2024, which is at the end of this month. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but you can expect that all of Rocker's characters are, in one way or another, going to be incorporated into this return promo and his future character.
Oh yeah, man, that sounds awesome already. I'm really fucking hyped for that. Seeing how Dark Rocker returns, I know that'll be epic, especially with all the other characters. And this will be related to that question, this next question actually. As far as your characters go, what are your favorite characters to play? You played so many, but which ones are your favorites? I know it's picking between your kids or your children, but who stands out as your favorite to play?
In order, my favorite characters are probably so let's just take Solus and Dark Abyss out of the equation because I want to think of Rocker characters. In that order, be Solus and then Dark Abyss. The artist formerly known as Dark Rocker is number 1. Dark Alliance and BIOHAZARD, Dark Rocker tied at number 2. And Starbreaker be after that. And yeah, I can't.
No, I get it, dude. That's a hard question to answer for sure. If someone asked me that, I would probably say System 3 and 063 are tied, but I don't know. It's kind of hard because I still like 360. I'm not as big into Dr. Reality or whatever, but yeah, dude, I could feel you on that question. So, yeah, that's a hard one. Okay, so I'll switch it up. So, to you, if you were gonna rank the UW wrestlers, who would be your top 5 or 10 if you want to go that far And, we'll put alter egos aside, but, who would you rank as, the top 10 of all time, or 5, or whatever? And that is for UW wrestlers. Let's hear Dark Rocker's top 5 or 10, whatever he wants to list here, okay? So that's that. That's what I was saying there, okay? All right.
As far as I can think, and Rocker and his characters are out of the equation, my top 10 favorites are King Tragedy, System 3D, R-Pain, Death Reaper, Hellraiser, Dr. Reality, Satan Star, Amazing X, Barney Pads, and Flame Damien.
Oh boy, Barney Pads. Yeah, that's fucking Chuck Diapers dude that he's talking about. And the other person he mentioned at the end was Flame Damien. And there's not a lot of footage of Flame Damien in UW because most of it is gone. But so Dark Rocker, my next question is: you faced Flame Damien twice at Fighter Finals 1 and 2. What do you think of that diaper, dude? What do you think of him, man?
I think it was a rather tough custom, to tell you the truth, very honestly. Flame Damien was quite the grapple grabber. He was a tough son of a gun. He always used to slap chuck. He always used to slap chuck these nipples backstage.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Jesus, that boy needs Jesus. Speaking of somebody that's not really Jesus-like, I guess. What do you think about Hellraiser? You were in his faction, Hell's Army. What do you think of the Hell's Army and Hellraiser? But you were a part of his faction, and you had a rival with him. So what are your thoughts on that motherfucker, man?
I like Hellraiser a lot. Actually, the story, of how Hell's Army formed, is really cool for, an idea that I am just thinking about for making a future rocker album. It could be a 3-part album where, there'd be, a winter type of feel for Death Reaper, and then kind of like a forest feeling for Dark Abyss, and then leaving into the Inferno for Hellraiser. But yeah, I loved a lot of stuff we do with Hellraiser, and one of my all-time favorite characters, of course.
Hell yeah, man! I actually agree with that completely. I think Hellraiser is one of the top characters that we create with the UW brand, and he will actually be playing a big part in the final chapter, of course. Not to spoil too much for people, but speaking of Hell's Army, there's a lot of factions in UW. What are your favorite factions or teams in UW history?
Dark Alliance and Biohazard are tied at number 1. Hell's Army is right after that. For some reason, I kept thinking for the longest time that they were called Hell's Children. So it's funny that I read the other day that you mentioned them for the first time in a while, and it says Hell's Army. So, who the fuck are we? Lords of Rock and even Reality. I gotta give them some credit. They weren't great, but I try my hardest to see the good in everything. And I forgot about the Plague and the Cult of Tragedy. Those were fun, of course. And I obviously forgot about Team Disruption. I think there was one time where we tried to do a stable with Ace, Tank, Dr. Reality, and Flame Damien. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, back in summer 2008, there was a short period of time where Flame Damien, Ace, and Tank were kind of a team, but that disrupted pretty quick. Especially Dr. Reality wasn't a part of that team, but he was kind of friends with Flame Damien, and that's what broke that shit up real quick. But yeah, I remember that. That was some interesting stuff. As for Hell's Army, they were Hell's Children for a bit, and then eventually it switched over to Hell's Army, I think just to be more badass or whatever. But I guess my next question would be, will we ever see a return from some of your other characters, for instance, maybe Dark Abyss, maybe Soulless? Is there a chance they might want some kind of revenge against someone from their past, or some kind of new star?
I'd like to bring all of my characters back if possible, and even incorporate some new characters. There's so many ideas that I have for them. But right now, I just came up with a really cool idea that I want to partake when I do Rocker's Return promo. And this is an idea that's been sitting around since at least 2020.
That's awesome, bro. I really can't wait to see how you bring all those characters back with your return. And speaking of those two characters, if somehow Soulless and Dark Abyss were able to fight each other, who do you think would win that match between those two dark personas? I mean, that would be an interesting fight, I think. Soulless versus Dark Abyss. Who would you put your money on between those two?
I think Dark Abyss would dominate most of the match. But I think Soulless would win that. Because, Dark Abyss is, like that of hell. And Soulless is just like that of a black hole, and it'd be a really interesting match. I would love to do something like that.
I know, right? That popped in my head. I was like, Soulless versus Dark Abyss. Imagine that. That would be a fucking bloodbath, I'm sure. So a similar question on that concept. If Dark Rocker was to fight Starbreaker, what do you think would win? What would be the outcome between those two characters going head-to-head that you portrayed in early Uncensored Wrestling?
I think, again, Starbreaker, like Dark Abyss, would dominate most of the match, but I think Dark Rocker would win. But who I would have Dark Rocker portray? I mean, Dark Alliance, Dark Rocker versus Starbreaker would be an awesome match. And the artist formerly known as Dark Rocker and Starbreaker would be another match I would like to see. The combination of those two would just be, great for a Starbreaker opponent.
No, I definitely agree with that, man. Well, while we're on this topic of, weird alter ego fantasy UW matches, what if System 3D faced 360 and Dr. Reality, now known as System X, but we can call him Dr. Reality? What if those first three dimensions fought in a triple threat match? Who do you think would win out of the first three dimensions?
I would give the win to System X, but I think System 3D would come close. You put the two together, and no disrespect to System 360, I think he's more like the nice one out of the three.
I agree with you there big time. 360 is definitely the lighter side, the good baby face between those three. System X and System 3D would probably take that match. I would actually put it on System X, but I think 063, the new fourth dimension, would fuck them all up. But anyways, on another topic, speaking of triple threats and stipulations, what are your favorite match stipulations, like your different match types that you like the most?
I like the King of the Mountain or King of the Hill match we did. We had a couple of those. Those hardcore matches we do, and the playground match was fun. Can't really think of much more, I've always wanted to do the black light match.
Yeah, we actually did try to do a black light match in the beginning of UW, but we didn't really have enough stuff to pull it off in the dark and all that back then. That was really the problem, to light it up. And it's hard with lighting anyways, especially back then with the camera we're using. But I'm going to switch it up here. I'm going to switch into some WWE related topics. If Dark Rocker and his characters, the other characters you played, were in WWE, which wrestlers from WWE would you want to fight at WrestleMania?
That was a really good question. And the list I came up with, I didn't pick, I'll try my best to pick match stipulations. Dark Rocker from Dark Alliance versus Crow Sting, one of those where you have to throw someone off the Titantron match. I didn't realize that one would be so long of an answer. Okay, Dark Rocker from BIOHAZARD versus Jeff Hardy in a ladder match. Dark Abyss versus Ministry of Darkness Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match. Starbreaker versus Stardust in a this is kind of sound very weird, but I would love to see that in a Pajami Prison match. The artist formerly known as Dark Rocker versus Goldust. I guess in a Falls Count Anywhere match, and Soulless versus Mass Kane from the Attitude Era when he first debuted in an Inferno match.
I absolutely love those fucking answers, man. So you've been a wrestling fan for a long time, and I do know the answer to this next question, but the audience probably doesn't, for whoever's listening. How did you first get into wrestling, and when did you first decide you want to, start your own wrestling company?
I just remember being 5 years old. My father used to watch wrestling all the time, and he still does to this day, like weekly. And that's when he's 12/23. That's his birthday. Wow. I first was excited when Kane would come out as my favorite, my childhood hero, believe it or not. And just always growing up play with wrestling figures and dolls and what have you. And I used to do a lot of stuff with the trampoline too, and used to make my own imaginary wrestling shows. And I just always wanted to do it, I guess. It's just always been in my heart to have some sort of incorporation with that, and it's just exciting. And a lot of people think that WWE isn't, wrestling per se, and I like the whole carnival aspect of it, and that's why I got into it.
Yeah, man, I really wanted to ask that question because I, too, started watching wrestling as a kid in the 90s, with, like, Stone Cold, Kane, Undertaker, Jeff Hardy, all them and stuff, so, yeah, I was a big fan of them as well. And I watched it with my father, our Payne, UW legend, right there. But, how about when you first wanted to start a wrestling company, like, with 360? When did you make that decision in your mind?
I remember us being in the library at school, if I'm not mistaken, and it was like we were thinking about it, and it was like, I do stuff with wrestling on like the trampoline and stuff, and I can make videos, and I figured we put something together. At least that was my memory of it.
Yeah, man. What's crazy is what we did is actually make like a wrestling promotion that I actually was proud of and kept going for like years with. Because I did do a wrestling show that I don't think I've ever talked about on any kind of video, but it was a show called XJW, Extreme Junkyard Wrestling, with Flame Damien and Brandon, who played Winston, and a few others that you might not know. 2004, around like my birthday time, to 2007, my bad. So like 3 years, but we only did like 10 or 11 matches, I think, and most of them were me versus Flame Damien. So Flame Damien was actually someone that I fought a lot in my early days before UW, when I did XJW shit, and then when we did UW, of course, he became a big feud of yours. So I guess my question would be, for feuds, on that topic, what are your favorite wrestling feuds from like WWE and shit? Like, what were your favorite matches or feuds or whatever from WWE?
I do vaguely remember you talking about XJW when we first met. As far as favorite feuds go, it's so hard to say. I have to really think about that, because I kind of think of like universal wrestlers, like who would have a 5-star match with just about anybody, and I think of like Bret Hart, Stone Cold, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, just several ones. I really have to think about that one. Obviously the Stone Cold Vince McMahon stuff was great, and Stone Cold's probably the top list for my favorite wrestler to have 5-star type feuds.
Oh, hell yeah, bro. Stone Cold, he's definitely had a lot of good feuds. What? Yeah, I got caught down, it's late. as your manager, yeah, that was actually a great question. Who would be Dark Rocker's manager? Or Dark Abyss, or both, but who would be your manager?
It doesn't matter if they passed away. For the artist formerly known as Dark Rocker, probably Rico when he was the hairstylist. For Dark Abyss, I would do Paul Bear, and same thing for Soulless. Starbreaker, I'd like to see a match by Bobby Heenan, and Dark Alliance, Dark Rocker, I guess Harvey Whippleman.
Awesome picks, bro. Awesome picks. I think if I was going to have System 3 of a manager, I'd have Jim Cornette just because he'd be swearing with System 3. It'd be so much going on, dude. It'd be ridiculous. But, okay, my next thing will be, how about for if UW was in an elimination chamber, which 6 UW wrestlers would you book to be in an elimination chamber match?
That's ironic because I kept thinking that you were going to send me a question asking about the elimination chamber. Okay. This is a great question because I have different elimination chamber ideas. Okay, let's get Hell's Army in there. Hellraiser, Death Reaper, Dark Abyss, right? Soulless, System X, and King Tragedy.
Now talk about a slugger.
Alright, so this is going to be my final question now because we got called tonight. It's late over here. What are you looking forward to most now that you're back in Uncensored Wrestling after 5 years away? What are you excited for most about finishing the story of Dark Rocker in the final chapter of UW Uncensored Wrestling?
From everything that I know now, and it being, a great time to resurrect all these characters, and I think that it's probably the greatest uprise in UW history. Now that we have now in the year 2024, 2025 coming up, there's so many endless possibilities that we can create, and we now are gaining the control and power to do so.
Oh, I agree so much, man. I'm really fucking excited. I'm happy to have Dark Rocker in the fold. I don't really feel like it would be complete telling the story of Uncensored Wrestling without Dark Rocker. And it's amazing to patch things up with you, man, and be your friend again and be talking and stuff. And I can't wait till we get together and make some videos and some content together and just chill and hang out and talk, man. So thank you so much for being on the show. It's great to have you on here and talk to you after all these years. Like, it really is, man. This is out of character. Like, I'm not System 3D right now or 360. I'm speaking out of character here. But yeah, when we do have our final clash, it will be fucking amazing, dude. And I really look forward to it. It's going to be amazing to tell that final story and everything that leads up to it. And Dark Rocker, you are a UW legend. There's no denying. This show wouldn't exist if you and I didn't decide to do it together. And honestly, you were the one that really made me come to the conclusion that I was going to do a wrestling show and continue doing it. So thank you for all you put into Uncensored Wrestling, and it's great to have you back, and I really look forward to seeing how you return.
It was my pleasure, man. This was a lot of fun, and I had a great time. I'm glad to be your friend again and call you my brother, and really looking forward to the future. Got a lot of good things to come for UW, and thanks again for having me.
Hell yeah, bro. Biohazard bros for fucking life. You already know, brother. That's fucking awesome. You guys heard that shit? Yeah. Dark Rocker back in the fold. So you guys can look forward to some stuff in the future. Like, this is out of character right now. This is the first time me and Dark Rocker spoke fucking did something like this in years, so you better fucking appreciate it, you better fucking like this shit. You're like, come on, dude, like, this better get 100 views, fuck all that shit. But yeah, just to end things here, Dark Rocker, UW legend, back in Uncensored Wrestling, my Biohazard tag team partner, System 3D's biggest rival. I don't know how that will play into 063's takeover, but we'll see. We're gonna see what happens. Alright guys, take care. Have a good one. That's that.
Oh yeah, and guess what, guys? You're gonna see something in the next episode. Guess what you're gonna see? Oh yeah, we talked about a lot of shit. Hold on. Oh wait, hold on. Oh, don't mean I go past it. Holy fuck, there's a lot of shit in here. Okay, hold on. There's more than I thought. But you're gonna see some shit. You're gonna see some shit ahead of time. A little fucking sneak peek. Okay, next week you're gonna see. Come on, man. Why are you freezing? Alright, here we go. Here's the audio for episode 2. So episode 2 coming next fucking Friday. So that one, Dark Rocker interviews System 3D. So System 3D will be answering questions from Dark Rocker. Boom. That's gonna happen. You're gonna hear that next week, motherfuckers. Yeah. We out.